We're in geometry. Today is a new month, February 1st. It is a Friday, which means we have a little bit shorter time to do our lesson today. So make sure the date is on your paper, 2/1. Today is Law of Cosines. Yesterday, 5-7 was Law of Sines. Today we're only dealing with cosine, and it is a slightly harder formula. So let's see how fast we can get through this and make sure that we understand still. Here is the theorem. A squared is equal to b squared plus c squared minus, and then all of this thing is being multiplied together, so it's 2 times a times b times cosine of a. So what's going on here? This really looks like Pythagorean theorem. So if I were to cross this off, b squared plus c squared is equal to a squared. I mean, the letters are kind of reversed, but it's very, very similar to Pythagorean theorem. The only difference is we have to additionally subtract this minus 2ab cosine of a. And notice that the cosine of the angle matches up with this side length. This side length here matches up opposite to the angle. So this side length and the angle should be opposite of one another. Then the two sides are the two sides here, 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 and here. The side lengths are kind of the middle portion, and then the opposite side and angle are on these sides. So that's my way of always trying to remember what this formula is. I'm pretty sure for the test I'm going to have to do a note card because we've been doing so many formulas, doing law of cosines, law of sines, Pythagorean's theorem, doing SOHCAHTOA. There's so many formulas that we've been doing this unit. We are definitely going to be having a very tiny, maybe a half of a 3x5 index card of formulas for the test. All right, so here we go. Example 1, how do I apply this formula? And there's two ways that I can solve problems. Well, technically, if any of these variables is unknown, then I can solve it. But generally, the things that are going to be unknown, let's go ahead and underline it. This is generally going to be unknown, or this is generally going to be unknown. Usually one of those two for the homework. I mean, technically, I could say B or C is unknown, but that makes it a bit of a harder problem. All right, so I want to find BC. I want to find this length. I'm going to call that length X. I want to find this length, and I'm going to round to the nearest tenth. Someone set this up for me. Using my law of cosines, using this formula, how do I set up my problem? One person knows. Two people know. Beverly, still, do you have your card still? Not yet? All right, we'll give it to Ellery.
So it would be x squared equals 9 squared plus 7 squared minus 2 times x times 9.
Careful, careful.
7.
So 2 times.
Wait, because it's 2ab.
Did I say AB? Oh no. Okay, sorry. My formula, I typed wrong. Change this to, this should be BC, not AB. Sorry about that, guys. Because it should be side, 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 and side. The only place that you use A is at the very beginning. That's my bad.
Okay.
Sorry, Ellery.
Wait, so that should be 2 times 7 times 9
2.
times the cosine of 46.
Or rather, this is for you. Times cosine of 46. Thank you. Is everything okay, Aurelio?
Yeah.
All right. Yes. So thank you, Ellery. That was hard to set up, especially when I gave you the wrong formula. Let's come back over here to geometry. And we have Beverly, Oscar, and Brian, who I can do this as well too. So Beverly, Oscar, Brian, and Ellery as well. You now all have your XP, some for the warm-up. All right, so that's how I set up this problem. It's the law of cosines, just plugging in for these variables. So we know that this is my angle that I'm looking at. So the one across is going to be the one that I use first. So x squared, and then I do just a bunch of side lengths. Side length squared plus side length squared minus 2 times side length, and then times finally the law of cosine means I'm using cosine of the angle. It's going to be hard to memorize, but try your best to remember this formula. We'll have a note card for the test, but not for the quiz. The quiz, you're going to have to remember this formula. Again, I'll repeat that. The quiz, you'll have to remember the law of cosines. The test, the quiz is... let me pull up my calendar. In terms of geometry, let's go to February. Geometry, oh, I don't have it up yet. Okay, let's look at our unit guide. That's the best way to do this. All right, so we are currently on Law of Cosines. That means Monday is doing Law of Cosines and Sines with word problems. Tuesday is the quiz. Wednesday is the test. So this Tuesday you will not have a note card. This test you will have a note card. Yeah, that's a good question. All right. I need to simplify this right-hand side. Quiet raised hand. Who can simplify this just a little bit for us? Simplify this right-hand side. Go for it, India.
Okay, so would I be doing order of operations or just going?
It's up to you.
Okay, so
Don't skip too many steps.
okay, so for I would do 9 squared is 81 plus 49 minus.
You can do all of those if you would like.
Okay.
Or if you just want to do one, it's fine too. 9 times 7 is
9 times 7 63.
63. And then 63 times 2,
Is 126
so 126. And
times cosine.
thank you. All mental math. Very strong. Good. All right, so everyone has this line now. We have simplified just a little bit, squaring things, multiplying things. Come back here and give India her XP, and your card is in. Nice. Next, I can simplify even more if I want. There's one additional thing I can simplify, and it's a pretty straightforward thing. Who can add those numbers together? There's an addition somewhere in here that can be simplified. Who can do it for us? Go for it, Sam.
You add 81 and 49 130.
There it is. Those add to 130, and I'm going to copy down the rest of the problem. I still have an x squared out front is equal to 130 minus 126 times cosine of 46. What's up, Sam? You ready for the next step?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to give it to someone else so we can get more people participating, but I really appreciate how enthusiastic you are about participating. Thank you. All right. Now I need to do my final step. I need to get x by itself. I need to somehow get x by itself. Right now, x is being squared. How do I get x by itself? Quiet raised hand. I need at least 2 hands to choose from. How do I get x by itself? What do I do to both sides? I need one more hand that has a card. One more hand that has a card. Right now, x is being squared. How do I undo a square? There's the other hand. Martine. Yes. Square root both sides, which means I'm doing the square root of all of this. Yeah, that square root will cancel out the square root and square, so you're just left with x is equal to all of that guy, which turns into what? Now it's a calculator problem. I will show you on the calculator, but pull out your calculator as well. See if you can get the same answer as Mr. Sindel.
Wait, Mr. Sindel, I have a question. Is the part that's like 2ab times cosine of a, is that in parentheses?
So you're talking about the formula 2ab times cosine of a?
Yeah, should we treat that like it's in parentheses?
You don't need parentheses because order of operations states that you do multiplication before you do subtraction.
But with like the other part, because never.
Can you subtract those first, or do you have to like do that?
Great question. So your question is, do I do 130 minus 126 right
Can
now?
you do that first before then doing the square root?
I'm giving you XP. That is a really, really strong question. Someone else answer it. What does someone else think? Or maybe, Beverly, you can answer your own question. What do you think? Can we do 130 minus 126 right now and simplify?
No, because that's against order of operations. But could you do 126 times cosine of 46 and then subtract that from 130? That's how I solved it first, but that's not how you're doing it now.
So you can do that. I was just trying to get it all so we can do the calculator all at once.
Okay.
So yeah, we are going to be doing that. And Ellery did answer that. So you don't want to do this. You don't do 130 minus 126 because the first thing that you should be doing is the multiplication of 126 times cosine. If you look up at our Pemdas rule, so Pemdas says do parentheses. The first parentheses that I see here is 46. Doesn't really mean very much. Next, exponents. There are no exponents. Next, multiplication and division. So I'm going to do 126 times cosine of 46 because that is multiplication. Then I'm going to do subtraction because that comes on the next level, and then I'll get the right answer. All right, so here I go, calculator problem. And as Ellery said, I'm going to do 126 times this cosine of 46. So first I'm going to do cosine of 46 times 126. Let's pull up my calculator. See if you can do it with me. I'm going to clear memory, clear everything. So I have 46. I'm going to take the cosine of that. Make sure you're in degrees. I'm going to now multiply this by 126. I need to say 130 minus this number. So you can either remember this number as 87.527, or you can use the memory. I've never taught you guys how to use memory on your calculators. I don't know. Do you see MC, M plus, M minus, MR? Do you see those buttons on your calculator?
Yeah.
If you do see them, I will show you how to use them. If you don't see them, you're going to have to remember this or do it a different way. And I'll come around to each and every one of you that has questions. So I'm going to store this in my memory. The way I do that is by hitting M plus. This will store it to the memory. In fact, if I hover over it, it says add to the value, or add this value to the memory. So this is in my memory. If I clear now, I can pull that back by saying memory recall. Boom, I pulled it back. I clear my memory by hitting MC. Don't do that because we stored it to the memory. We don't want to clear the memory yet. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say 130 minus this thing that I stored in the memory. 130 minus this thing that I have in the memory, and I hit equals. I have just now computed 130 minus this number. I will show you again. So first I did 46, and I took cosine of that, and I multiplied by 126. I need to store this in the memory. I do that by hitting M plus. Now if I clear out, I can hit MR. Oh, now I've added it to the memory. Okay, hold on. I have to clear my memory. MC. I have to clear my memory. 46. I do cosine of that times 126. I'm going to store that in the memory. So now when I hit memory recall, why is it not clearing the memory? Oh gosh, Mr. Sindel, what's going on? Cosine times 126. If I do that, it should store in the memory. There it goes. I think you have to hit memory clear when it's already 0. Okay, so I have this number. So now I'm going to say 130 minus memory recall equals, and you should get 42.473. Is everyone at 42.473? You got a negative 42? You probably did that number minus 130 instead of 130 minus that number. I can come back and help you later if you want. Now I need to take the square root of this number, so I take square root of x. I just hit this button and it automatically takes the square root, and I have my answer. My answer is here, but I need a quiet raised hand to round this correctly. It says round to the nearest tenth. Someone that has their card, please raise their hand. How do I round this correctly to the nearest tenth? That means the nearest one decimal. Anna, go for it. You've been patient. There it is, 6.5. Our answer is, well, now that we've rounded, it's approximately equal to 6.5. And box it. Thank you, Anna. All right. Any questions on example 1 before we go to the backside? No questions, no questions. If you have questions privately, you can always ask me later. Here we go, example 2. We're doing the same thing, but now we're finding an angle. I said that the two things you can be asked to find are A or the angle. We just did A, lowercase a, now we're doing capital A. We need to find that angle. I'm finding this angle C now. Ooh, I've changed the letters on you. How is that going to make the formula different? It's going to be a challenging question. This is the hardest question I can ask for the homework. All right, I need a quiet raised hand to help me set up the formula. We have a lot of cards in, but some cards are still out. How do I set up the formula? Who wants to take a shot at it? Someone that still has their card. Am I going to have to cold call on someone? Colby, do you still have your card? Yeah. All right, I'm choosing you. So one hint I'll give you, Colby, is that this angle A is always opposite of this one on the far left. So if I was looking at this angle, opposite of that will be on the far left. That'll help us. I'm trying to find this angle C, so opposite of that is going to be my first number. 7 squared. Continue on. You're good so far?
6 squared plus 3 squared.
Plus 3 squared. Yep, you're good so far.
Minus 2 times 6 times 3 times cosine of
This is our variable. You get to choose what you want. You can say C, theta, X, whatever you want. X. All right. There it is. Good job, Corey. That was a little bit difficult because we changed all the letters, but there it is. We set up our formula. Everyone copy it down. Make sure you have it in your notes. This is the perfect time to ask questions because this is the most confusing part of example 2. Yes, Laura.
Wouldn't A be 3 squared? Because it's opposite of the capital.
Yes, so this is the trick. So A, and this is lowercase a, but these letters don't always correspond to these letters. These letters are only a way of saying, hey, this thing is the opposite of this thing. We know that we're going to have to be putting a capital C here. We're trying to find capital C. So the opposite of capital C is 7. Yeah, that's a great question. In fact, that's such a good question. I'm going to give XP for it as well. Beverly, did I ever give you XP for that awesome question? I don't think I did. And Gloria. Yeah, so it has to be opposite of whatever angle I'm trying to find. That's going to be the farthest to the left. And then all the letters change as well. So from there, I need to say, what are the sides? So opposite was this side. I use that up. The two sides, 6 and 3, are going to be used 6 and 3, 6 and 3 over and over again. Yeah, good question. Any other questions? Yeah, Martine. You never got your XP? I apologize for that, Martine. Sorry about that. All right. New volunteer, someone that still has their card. What do I do next? Look at example 1. It's very similar procedure. We're simplifying. How do we do that? Quiet raised hand. I know some of the cards out there I can call on. I'm thinking about either calling maybe Jaden, Chewy, Cheyenne. Oh, Cheyenne is volunteering. Yeah, go for it, Cheyenne.
49. 36 plus 9
Times cosine of x. Yeah, very nice, Cheyenne. Yeah, good job. You can turn in your card. All right, Cheyenne has done some simplification for us. I can simplify one more thing before I start trying to solve for x. What's one more thing that I can simplify? This is an easy one. Someone can add some numbers for us. Someone that still has their card. Caroline.
36 plus 9 is
45. There it is. And then copy down the rest of the problem. 49 is still on the left. I still have a minus 36 times cosine of x. Thank you, Caroline. You are in. All right. Oh, here you, Aurelio, is your card. No. You have to participate. All right. Now I need to start solving for x. X is on the right-hand side, which means I need to start throwing things on the left-hand side. Whenever I solve for x, now I do reverse order of operations. So on the lowest rung of PEMDAS is A and S. Is there an A or an S, something that's being added or subtracted from x that I can move to the left-hand side? And again, I'm waiting for people that still have cards. Someone that still has their card. What do I do here? I'm going to cold call in 3, 2, 1, Chewy. So I'm going to add or subtract something to both sides.
You can add. Or no, subtract 49.
So I'm trying to add or subtract something on this side to get on the left-hand side so that I can get x closer, or technically x by itself. We're so far going to leave cosine of x by itself. I either have this option or this option. Which one can I move over first? 45. What am I going to do to both sides? There it is. Thank you, Chewy. That is correct. Subtract 45 from both sides. That will cancel out. I'm left now with what left, or what's on the left, Chewy? 40. It's going to be 4. It is. 4 is equal to negative 36 times cosine of x. All right, Chewy can hand in his card. Now what can I do? Right now 36 is being multiplied by cosine of x. I need to undo this multiplication. What am I going to do to both sides? I'm going to have to cold call again probably if those people don't want to participate.
I just have a question.
Yes.
Okay, does it go with all the problems where you can't subtract those two numbers? Okay, never mind.
No, please ask the question. Other people have the same question.
I just answered it.
Yeah, but other people have that question that need it answered. Can you ask the question so I can answer for those other people?
Because you have to multiply, the multiplication comes first.
You're talking about why you don't undo the 36 right now?
Yeah, because my question was that you couldn't subtract 45 from 36 from 45. But then, like Ellery said before, you have to do the multiplication, right?
Exactly, yeah. You cannot subtract these two because 36 is being linked with the cosine. Yeah, that was a great question. Hopefully someone else got that answer, or that question answered as well. That's how it always works in the classroom. One person will ask a question, they'll answer it themselves in their head, but then two other people have the same question. They're like, wait, can you please talk about that? But they're maybe a little bit too shy to ask. All right, so from here, I need to undo this multiplying of negative 36. I'm cold calling on, yeah, Aurelio.
Divide negative 36.
You divide both sides by negative 36. There it is. And that will cancel this out. Can you reduce this fraction for me, Aurelio? So what is the fraction? So divide the top and bottom by 4. 4 divided by 4 is? 4 divided by 4? 1, yep. And then the bottom is? 36 divided by 4 is? Very nice, yeah, negative 9. And that is now equal to cosine of x. Thank you, Aurelio. Didn't even need a cold call. Oh yeah, that's right. You are here. Now, next step. I need to undo cosine. That's always going to be the last step. Undo cosine on both sides. How do I undo cosine? Loretta, you still have your card? Go for it. Take the arc cosine on both sides. Yeah, usually write it to the left of each of them. So I take arc cosine, and you usually put it on the left of that, and I take arc cosine of that side. And those will cancel out the cosine, so I'll be left here with, so chunk, chunk. X is now equal to arc cosine of negative 1/9. So let's do that on our calculators. 1 divided by negative 9. I'm gonna clear here, clear the memory in case I need that. So I'm going to take 1 divided by negative 9 is equal to, and I did that kind of fast, so 1 divided by, I hit 9, and I do the plus or minus to make it a negative 9. 1 divided by negative 9 is negative 0.1 repeating. Now I'm going to take the arc cosine. So I do second cosine, and I get this. Does it match our picture? Yeah, it is slightly bigger than 90 degrees, so that makes sense. Arc cosine of this, and I need to round it to the nearest whole degree. Who can round this to the nearest whole number? I'm going to have to give this one to, I think there's only one card left. No, there's 2 cards left. At least 2 cards. Chewy already participated though. Emily, do you still have your card? All right, can you round this to the nearest whole number? So you round up if this is a 5 or greater, but it's not a 5 or greater, so it stays. There it is. Yeah, thank you. 96. So x is now approximately equal to 96 degrees. Yeah, it's trivial. It's The word I always use is pedantic. You don't need this, but it makes it more correct. And there's our answer. All right, any questions? All right, go ahead and write your summaries now.